Let's take a look at some of the additional editing features. The first thing I want to show you is how to add text. And text would be attached to different video clips. So if I wanted to do one at the start of my video, I would tap on the first clip, and you'll notice that down on the bottom right, next to the microphone, there's that T. So when I select the T for text, you'll notice that these different options pop up. You have standard, gravity, reveal, expand. You have this line title one that has 2 layers of text. And the only downside here is that they're very limited. There's not different fonts. You have to use the defaults, and there's not different sizes. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do pop-up. So I'm going to select pop-up, and you'll notice that it appears in my viewing screen up in the top right. When I click on that text box, now I have the edit grab handles around it, so I can delete what's there. So I have my text that I want to use, and then I say done. And now you'll notice that it appears over my image. Down at the bottom, if I don't want it in the center, I could also have it be down on the lower left, so I could tap lower, or put it back in the center depending on where I want it. So if it's a main title, I would probably want to have it in the center. And then I can also add additional text. So if I want to have one at the end, I would tap on that last clip. I would choose what I want to have for a text box, tap in there, and then enter the text that I want to use for that and say done. And everything here is an auto save, so you don't have to worry about saving after you're done. I also want to show you about transitions, and transitions is what happens in between each clip. So there is a default transition that you'll notice in between each clip. It just basically kind of like overlaps one picture over the other. You'll notice where I go through the 2 clips, you can see they blend into one another. But if I didn't want to have that default, I could tap on the transition, which is right in between the 2 clips. And from here, when I've selected that transition between the 2 clips, a little menu pops up down at the bottom. So I can choose a different option for my transition. Maybe I want it to fade, or I want it to dissolve. And then I'd go ahead and do that for all of my other transitions if I wanted to. And it's just something extra. You don't have to do that, but it does give it a little bit more character or uniqueness. And the very last thing that I do want to show you guys is how to change the filter. And I'm sure you're all experts at changing filters from Instagram and whatnot on your camera rolls. So because this is an ancient Egypt project, you might want to use maybe a vintage or western that are a little bit more faded. You have blast over here, which makes the color a little bit darker. So you would just select the clip that you want to change, and then select the different filter, and then that filter will be applied to that entire clip. So at that point, you should be ready to wrap up. And I just want to show you how to go ahead and make sure that you give your project a name, and you may even want to do this from the start. So up on the top left, there's that arrow, and that's going to bring us back to the library. So over here, I'm going to click on the little arrow right here, and it brings me back to this screen, and it tells me that the duration of my time of my project, the last time it was modified, and then right here where it says my movie, well, I don't want to call it my movie because everybody's is going to default to that, so I want to make sure that mine is unique to my group. So for this, I'm going to say tour of library because my clips were about the library, and then I'm going to write what section I'm in. So if I'm in red, I'm going to type red because there are going to be 4 groups each doing the same topic in ancient cultures on your team. So you want to make sure that you're labeling it correctly. And then you just say done. And at that point, the last thing I want you to do is I want you to tap on that share button. Now this is when absolutely everything is done, when all the edits have been made and everything's been finalized. That share button right here, you probably recognize from your iPhone or iPads at home. When you tap on that, it's going to give you the option to save the video. There's other options up here, but the only one I want you to do is press save video because that's going to save it to the photo stream. I want you to save it as large, so you can tap on large. And that's it, you're gonna export it. And then while it's exporting, you can just put it over on the counter or give it to Miss Opie or to me, Miss Kerrigan, and we will then be putting them onto Miss Fox's YouTube channel. So have fun.